Hello everyone, welcome to GMATQuizMaster. I'm Kanupriya Sharma and today we are going to discuss this interesting weekend question which also is about the concept of averages. Now, is it the concept of averages that makes this question difficult? I don't think so. Why? I'll tell you later. So, after we are done solving this question, I will share another official question with you, which is based on the exact same logic. However, it is relatively very easy. So, you will find for yourself what makes this question difficult and that one easier. Let's get started. Let's start with passage analysis. Educational theorist, so educational theorist is the author here. Recent editorials have called for limits on the amount of homework assigned to school children younger than 12. So the author is telling us that recent editorials, so the author is telling us about editorials, that they have called for limits on the amount of homework assigned to school children younger than 12. So these are the kids that are being targeted, and the editorials have called for limits on the amount of homework. So they have not asked for eliminating the homework completely, they are just asking to limit the amount of homework. Let's read further. They point out that free time activities play an important role in childhood development. Now, this is a statement that actually supports why they are asking for that limit. So, this may be a reason why they are asking for limit, that free time activities, they play an important role in childhood development. All right, let's read further. And that, so we have another reason here. Homework in large quantities can severely restrict children's free time, hindering their development. So, this is another reason linking it with homework, that if we have a lot of homework, notice that we are talking about a lot of homework and not just homework. So, this justifies why they are asking for limit and they are not asking to completely eliminate homework. They are saying that a lot of homework will reduce their free time, and we know that free time activities, they play important role in development, so this will definitely hinder their development. So this is the reasoning that has been given by editorials why they are asking for limit on this homework. Let's read further. But so we have a contrast here. Let's see what we are going to get now. The actual average homework time for children under 12. So we are talking about same set of kids, children under 12, and we have been given the actual. So this is the actual, the real figure, average. It is the average figure, homework time. So it is an important thing. We have the actual average homework time for these kids, and this is said to be little more than 30 minutes per night. So let's say it is 31 minutes per night, leaves plenty of free time. So the author is giving a contrasting fact that the actual average homework time for these kids is around 31 minutes per night, and logically it should leave them enough time to engage in free time activities. So, this fact given by the author, this is a fact given by the author. It goes against this reasoning given by editorials, because if kids are getting 31 minutes of homework per night, then ideally they should have sufficient free time to engage in free time activities. So why do we need to restrict their homework? Why do we need to limit their homework? Let's read further. In reality, therefore, the editorial's rationale cannot justify the restriction they advocate, and that is how the author has arrived at their conclusion that the editorial's rationale, that is, this reasoning that is being used by the editorials, it cannot justify the limit that they are advocating. So it is important to understand the conclusion. The conclusion does not say that editorials are incorrect or editorials' argument is incorrect. It is not that. It is saying that this reasoning cannot be used to justify the restriction that they are advocating. Now, let's read the question stem. Which of the following, if true, would most seriously call into question the educational theorist's conclusion. So we have to weaken this conclusion that the editorial's rationale cannot justify the restriction they advocate. Before getting into that, let's understand the logic of the passage better. So we have a view of editorials that the homework should be limited, and we have a reasoning here. Reasoning seems logical that free time activities are required for development, and if there is too much homework, then this free time is reduced, because of which the development may be hindered. Now, the author counters this by presenting the actual average homework time. Logically, this time seems to suggest that okay, the kids are still getting enough free time, so there should not be this kind of limit should not be required. However, let's understand this average, how this can affect this logic here. So, the issue with average is that it does not tell us where the actual values lie. So, if this average is 31 minutes, then the lowest and the highest values can lie very close. For example, the lowest value can be 25 minutes and the highest value can be 35 minutes. And in that case, this average value, it works very well. It tells us that okay, kids are not actually getting a lot of homework, so why worry about limiting their homework? However, if this variation is high, if let's say the lowest value is 5 minutes, that is out of these 12, out of these kids who are younger than 12, some are getting just 5 minutes per night of homework, while others are getting maybe 2 hours of homework every night. That is 120 minutes. If that kind of variation exists, it tells us that the average value is not giving us the true picture. And in that case, if there are kids who are getting a lot of homework, and then there are some kids who are getting very less homework, because of which the average comes down to 31 minutes per night, we are not getting the true picture. And in that case, this average value does not logically counter the rationale that has been used by the editorials. So let's quickly understand the passage structure before we update our bridge table for passage analysis. So we know that the educational theorist is the author here. The first statement tells us about what the recent editorials are asking for. Then we get to know their reasoning. We have been given two reasons. One reason is linked to the second reason, and they are together linked to the restriction that they are asking for. Then we have a counterfact that has been given by the author, and this fact seems to be going against what the editorials are asking for. And based on this counterfact, the author has arrived at the main conclusion here. It is important to understand that the main conclusion is about the use of this reasoning to arrive at the limit that the editorials are asking for. It is not just about the argument or the demand of the editorials. So, with this understanding, let's now update our bridge table. So, if your understanding of passage logic as well as conclusion was completely correct, you can have a tick here and move ahead. However, if you missed anything in passage analysis or your understanding of the conclusion was not correct, mark a cross accordingly and mention your reasoning here. With that, let's move ahead and try to understand what the correct answer should convey here. Now, we have to weaken the conclusion of the educational theorist, that is, the editorial's rationale cannot justify the restriction they advocate. So, what should a correct answer choice convey? A correct answer choice, any correct answer choice would convey that the editorial's rationale can justify the restriction on the homework that they advocate. So, in whichever scenario you check the correct answer choice, it will always convey that this rationale can actually justify their demand. Now, what is happening here? We know that editorial's rationale is this, these 2 points have been given. Now, this is a fact which is kind of reducing the impact of this reasoning, which is questioning this reasoning, right? So, anything, any kind of information that can counter the effect of this fact that actual average homework for these kids is 31 minutes per night, anything that tells us that no, this actually does not go against this reasoning, this actual average homework time does not counter the reasoning that has been given by editorials, will help us justify the use of this reasoning to arrive at this demand of limiting the homework. So, any correct answer choice for this question will tell us how this actual average homework time for these kids does not actually weaken the reasoning that has been used by the editorials. Now, if your understanding of what the correct answer choice should convey was not correct, or if you missed this step, then mark a cross here, give your reasoning here, and move to answer choice analysis. Choice A. Some teachers give as homework assignments work of a kind that research suggests is most effective educationally when done in class. So this choice says that some of the assignments that are given as homework, they are actually most effective educationally when they are done in class. So all that this choice is telling you is that some of the homework assignments may not be most effective in teaching students what they intend to teach. However, does this choice talk about the reasoning used by editorials to arrive at their demand of limiting the homework? No. And that is where understanding the conclusion and what the correct answer choice should convey is very important. So, this choice does not talk about the rationale, how this rationale can justify the demand for limiting the amount of homework. It tells you that okay, there may be some issues with some of the homework assignments. However, it does not address why this rationale works for the limit that these editorials have been advocating for. And that is why this choice is incorrect. Now, most likely, if you selected this choice, your understanding of the conclusion was not correct. You were just trying to find some faults with homework or some of the homework assignments. You did not even evaluate the impact of some here. You were just trying to find some issue with homework assignments and you marked this answer choice. So, if this was your reason, or you selected this answer choice, most likely your understanding of the passage was not correct, or your understanding of the conclusion was not correct, and you did not know what the correct answer choice should do. So update your bridge table accordingly. Choice B. For children younger than 12, okay, so we are talking about the same set of students, regularly doing homework in the first years of school has no proven academic value, but many educators believe that it fosters self discipline and time management. So we are talking about children younger than 12, however, we are talking about regularly doing homework in first years of school. So they are younger than 12, but it is just talking about their first years of school. And all that it is saying is that it has no proven academic value. Academically, they will not gain anything. But there are some educators who believe that it has some positive impact on self discipline and time management. So all that this choice says is that okay, homework is not something that is academically required or academically helpful for these kids in their first years. However, it can still help in some other way by teaching them self discipline and time management. So, is this choice relevant to the passage logic or the conclusion? Clearly, no. It is not about the editorial's reasoning related to free time activities, lot of homework, impact of homework on free time activities. It is not related to the limit on homework that they are asking for, and that is why this choice is completely irrelevant. And if you selected this choice, it means that your understanding of the passage as well as the conclusion was incorrect. You did not know what the correct answer choice should convey, and that is why you ended up selecting this answer choice. So please update your bridge table accordingly. Choice C. Some homework assignments are related to free time activities that children engage in, such as reading or hobbies. Now, what does this choice indicate? This choice indicates that some homework assignments, we are not going into the impact of some, whether it is one or it is all or it is somewhere in between, but there are some homework assignments that help children engage in free time activities, right? So this choice is saying that homework assignments, they may actually be increasing the engagement in free time activities, right? This is what this choice conveys. So, this choice directly goes against this rationale here that too much of homework may actually reduce the free time activities and hinder development. This choice is going against that rationale. So, how can it be the correct answer choice? The correct answer choice needs to convey that This rationale being used by the editorials, it can justify the restriction on homework that they advocate. This choice, on the other hand, suggests that homework may actually be good. You may not need to restrict homework because, in some way, homework may be helping more kids engage in free time activities. And therefore, this choice is completely incorrect. Now, this is the most popular incorrect answer choice. And if you also fell in this trap, it means that either you did not understand the passage, the logic of the passage, or you were not sure what needs to be weakened, what the correct answer choice needs to convey. You were not sure about that, or you did not evaluate this choice correctly. You actually selected something that conveys a very opposite meaning. So the problem may lie with your understanding of the passage. So accordingly, please update your bridge table. Choice D. A substantial proportion of school children under 12. So we are talking about the same set of students, school children under 12, and we are talking about a substantial proportion, that is a lot of them, particularly those in their first few years of school, have less than 10 minutes of homework assigned per night. Now, directly, this statement does not convey anything, right? There are a lot of students in this group who get less than 10 minutes of homework assigned to them per night. However, if you understand it properly, if you draw the inferences here, if you relate it to the average word that has been used here, you will be able to understand the actual meaning of this choice. So, what this choice says is that this is the scenario. There are a lot of students who are getting less than 10 minutes of homework per night, which means maybe there are a lot of students who are getting 5 minutes of homework, 8 minutes of homework per night, which means that there are students who are getting a lot of homework as well. Only then the average will come here around 31, right? If there are a lot of students who are getting just 5 minutes of homework, there are students who would be getting maybe 120, 130, 150, 200 minutes of homework per night. And that is why this choice attacks this fact. It tells us that this fact is not very reliable, and this fact cannot be used to question this reasoning. The reasoning used by the editorials may actually be correct. If this is the scenario, if there are students who are getting so much homework, the reasoning used by editorials may be correct because these students do not get enough free time to engage in free time activities. And that is why this much homework may be hindering their development, and it is justified to limit to advocate the limit on the school, on the homework that is being asked for. And therefore, this choice is the correct answer choice. Now, if you rejected this answer choice, one thing is your passage understanding was not correct. You did not know what the correct answer choice should convey. The third and the most probable reason is that you were not able to draw this understanding, to draw this inference that, okay, if we are talking about a lot of students getting less than 10 minutes of homework, it means that there are some students who are getting a lot of homework as well. So you did not apply the average of the concept of averages there. And that is why you could not get to the correct answer choice. So please mention this reason in your bridge table, and let's move to analyze the last answer choice here. Choice E. Some free time activities teach children skills or information that they later find useful in their school homework, in their schoolwork. Now, this choice tells us the importance of free time activities. However, does that actually weaken the educational theorist's conclusion? The answer is no, because this choice, yes, it tells us why free time activities are required, but we already know from our reasoning, from our passage, that editorials are saying that the free time activities help in children development. Now, how did they do that, or what happens with these free time activities is not relevant. We know for a fact that free time activities, they help in development. The thing that we need to evaluate is whether the homework that is being given to these kids, is that impacting their free time activities and thus their development or not? If that reasoning stands, then the demand is justified. If that reasoning is not correct, then that demand is not correct. So this choice, therefore, is incorrect. If you selected this answer choice, it means that you did not understand what needs to be weakened, right? You did not have to justify the free time activities. You had to link the reasoning given by the editorials with the demand, considering the average value that has been given to you. So you were not sure about what needs to be weakened and what the correct answer choice needs to convey. Please update your bridge table accordingly. Other official question which is based on the same logic. It is an assumption question. However, the logic of the passage is almost same here. The language of the passage is different. The kind of inferences that you need to draw are different. I want you to try this question as well and let me know in comments why you think this one might have been easier. Hope that helps. Good luck.